Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm back with a new layout for Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm going to start this layout with one of the new cut files that you can purchase over in the Pinkfresh Studio Shop. It's this really fun notebook type of square with a floral element on it, and then I tried to alter it. I need some more work in my silhouette software skills, but I made it work. I tried to remove the flower and just create some little notebook pages out of a couple of different sheets here, and my sticky mat was not that sticky, and so my paper was kind of moving, and so yeah, you can kind of see there I got some wonky edges, but you know what, it's a notebook paper, so sometimes they tear. I'm gonna make it work. And then I have these cute pictures of me trying to get some stuff done at my desk, and yeah, there's my little child who decided to come and creep up behind me. She likes to try to smudge my glasses with her little sticky fingers, and yeah, I'll talk about the photos later. But I wanted to mix and match some of the Office Hours collection and the Just a Little Lovely collection. I've done this in a couple of layouts in recent past for Pinkfresh Studio, and I think it's fun to do this because these collections are completely different, and it's fun to try to take on the challenge to make them work together. And I really like this paper here with all these little doodads on it, so I thought that I would cut some of those out and incorporate them into my layout. So what I wanted to do with this actual cut file here that's open, I wanted to back it with some pattern paper. So I went through all the pattern papers in Just a Little Lovely and Office Hours and picked out a couple that I felt worked well together. And I did this completely backwards. I should have backed the flower first. I don't know what I was thinking, but I went ahead and backed the actual paper part of this with this really pretty watercolor sheet from Just a Little Lovely, and I just glued it down, and then I'm going to take the time here to fussy cut around all the edges, which is fine. I don't mind fussy cutting. There's just a lot of little nooks and crannies, but then once I had that done, I realized, oh yeah, I want to back the flower, so I should have done that first, but oh well. So I'm just going to cut it off and then back it and then glue it back down, so it was all okay. So again, I'm going to use the same paper here that I used to back the big piece with, except I'm going to use a darker blue piece, and I'm going to trace each shape as best as I can with a pencil and then cut it out and then go back and erase the pencil lines and then just glue it behind, because it's three little flowers and then some green leaves. And so I do use papers from both collections on this floral cluster here, and I think it turns out pretty. So all I'm going to do is add some glue on the little spots there and then flip it over and glue the paper down behind it. And it's still not perfect, so I have to go back and trim it up. Some days I am with it, and then other days I ask myself, have you ever created a layout before? What are you thinking? But I made it work, and I think it turned out pretty. Anyway, there it is. So I think what I want to do is kind of make it look like some notebook papers were torn out and just kind of scattered and layered on the layout. I love that notebook edge. I didn't use any yellow in any of the papers, so I want to incorporate some yellow with embellishments. So I went through the Office Hours collection here and pulled out a couple things that can work. And I'm going to do some mixed media on some white thick cardstock as my background. This is where I'm going to add in lots more yellow. So I know I want these little notebook papers here to be stacked and layered, so I'm going to staple them together so I can kind of move them all around as one piece so they don't, you know, continuously move around. And I'm going to try to keep everything condensed just like you see it here, and I'm going to add some yellow on the background, and I'm trying to match the yellow that's in the Office Hours collection. It's not sunshiny yellow, it's more of a mustardy yellow, so I'm going to add in a little bit of green here just to change the shade of this yellow. And when I first start to add it on my desk here with the white and the bright lights, it looks way bolder than it really is. And yeah, just stick with it here and you'll kind of see how I work with it as I go. My thought was that I would have some yellow kind of showing underneath the bottom left, or I'm sorry, the bottom right area, and then the top left area. But of course, I always wind up doing too much, so more than that is going to show. But once I finally get everything right where I want it, it does change a little bit. And I feel like it's still obvious enough that there's mixed media on it, but it still winds up being kind of on the subtle side once it's all said and done. And, you know, I always say that mixed media backgrounds sometimes have to go through the hot mess, oh my gosh, what am I doing phase before it gets to the, oh, I really love this phase. And so this is one of those layouts that goes through the, I think I'm just done way too much here phase. But just stick with it, and I feel like it's going to work out in the end. I do want to soften this up a little bit, so I add in a little bit of white acrylic paint and just kind of let it swirl and blend with everything. And I'm just adding water as I go and using my brush and using my paper towel roller there to kind of dab up some of the color. But I just want the colors to kind of run and blend and smudge and look kind of, you know, natural. I don't want harsh line or edges from the brush. So I felt like at this point I had done a little too much at the bottom. So I'm going to come in with my white gesso just to kind of lighten things up and give it a little bit of cover, because I felt like I kind of went too low. I didn't want that much at the bottom. But you know, sometimes you get carried away and mixed media just kind of takes on a life of its own, and you just kind of have to know when to back it off. But of course, that's not me, so I'm going to keep going. All right, so what the heck am I doing now? Yeah, I decided at this point that I wanted to do more than just yellow on the background. I want to add in that peachy pink color that is in several of the papers that I'm going to use. And so I'm mixing some of the orange with the pink on top of the yellow and then dabbing it up. It's very subtle, but I feel like it matches perfectly. And I like that look better than just the plain yellow. I feel like it gives it a little bit more dimension and just kind of echoes the colors in the papers. So I like how the little notebook papers turned out. Even though they were kind of wonky and crooked, I'm going to go with it because, you know, I think it looks fine. I want them to be kind of distressed anyway. So what I decided to do to add even more color smudges was to pull out this light pink gelato. And I feel like with the pink color here mixed with the yellow that's not completely dry, it winds up being the perfect peachy color. So I'm going to try to layer in the photos kind of like what you see right there. I don't want anybody's face to be covered up with a leaf or anything like that. So some of the things are going to be under the photo and some things may overlap. It just depends on where the photo goes. But I know this is kind of where this is going to go, and the background is done for now. I am going to keep working on it, but I'm going to go ahead and glue this stuff down and then start to ruffle up some of the edges of the notebook paper, because I did want it to look kind of messy and chaotic, because this layout is going to be kind of sarcastic because these pictures make me laugh. This is me in my scrapbook room at my desk where I spend many, many hours working on projects. And this is Paige. She's my youngest daughter, and she's hilarious. She's like the clown of the family, and she's obsessed with sneaking up behind me and trying to smudge my glasses. She's obsessed with glasses, and she loves to smudge them with her little sticky fingers. And it's just funny. It's an ongoing thing. And I just had my phone right there one day, and I just had to take pictures. And she's just the most precious little thing. And it makes me laugh. And she doesn't care how many times I say no. She still tries to do it. And it's just funny. So my layout is going to be about, you know, trying to work, but, you know, not being very productive because I keep getting interrupted by the little glass smudger here. So yeah, it's kind of a take on that. And I'm going to be using a lot of the embellishments from office hours, which revolve around working or, you know, goals in the workplace or things you got to get done, that type of stuff. And so I felt like this was kind of a funny way to use those. So all I've done here so far while I've been talking about my pictures, I'm adding in some darker blue thread here. I layered in some tissue paper and some adhesive behind my photos to raise them up off the page, and added in a little bit of yellow die cuts that I fussy cut from a pattern paper behind the photos. And then I just went through all of the office hours die cuts, puffy stickers, fabric die cuts, the stickers, and I'm just going to start to embellish all around the page. Anything that will work, anything that will match and will kind of, you know, look good in a certain spot. I really love those two circle elements, the clocks, and then there's actually a couple more circle elements that I'm going to use, mainly because they match. They talk about work or getting busy or, you know, staying busy, that type of thing. And you know, I was definitely busy, but I had to stop and deal with the finger smudger because that's what she does. And, you know, when your child wants to interact with you, you just have to stop and do it. And it's just one of those funny memories that I don't want to forget because it's probably something she'll outgrow, and it's always a funny thing. So yeah, and the top photo, she's waving. If you don't know, I know I talk about this on my channel a lot, but both of my daughters are autistic, and they're also nonverbal. So they have a lot of sensory issues, and they have a lot of strange little quirks, and but they're so funny, and they're just hilarious. And so this is just one of her little quirks that she likes to do. In the top picture, she's waving, and she has this funny little wave. And whenever she sees herself in the mirror, or in this case, in my phone, she just had to wave. And then she had to smudge me in the face. So, yeah. So my title's going to be hard at work because clearly I'm not, and I just thought it was funny. I'm using the white thickers, or the white puffy stickers, and I stitched them down. I think those are from Office Hours. But I love that they're white because you can pretty much use them with anything. And then I'm going to continue to add in little bits and pieces. One at the bottom says super productive, which is obviously not true. And then the little yellow piece on the right says good job, daily grind. I've got another little die cut with stars with a little puffy sticker above it that says noted. So just kind of anything that matched and that worked. That little arrow says great idea, and it's pointing toward the title. And sometimes I just like being sarcastic about things. I just think it's funny, and it just, you know, it works. And yeah, it's just one of those moments that you don't want to forget, and you want to showcase it with the embellishments and the products that you have. And I felt like these were a good mix of things to use. So yeah, I'm just going to keep adding in those little doodads that I cut out of the pattern paper at the very beginning of the layout, and keep going. I didn't want it to get too busy. I didn't want to cover up a lot of the notebook edges there, but I did want to use a lot of little embellishments. Sometimes I don't. In this case, I did. I just had so many, and they all worked. And yeah, I added in a little bit more blue thread up there in the top left corner. You can see it, the little circle cluster that I created up there. I feel like that works okay. And then I'm going to lightly add some shadowing. It's very subtle, but around these white letters, because they are white, and there's a lot of you know, color and texture behind them, and I just wanted them to stand out just a little bit more. And so now I feel like they do. And then I'm going to come in over here on the left with my pencil and my T-square ruler and create some lines for journaling. And I'm just using a black fine tip Sharpie there to write about what's going on. And then the last thing I'm going to do is come back in with the liquid watercolors and add a little bit of the light blue color there. I think that's called sky blue. And just add in a little bit of splattering around the page there. But anyway, that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. Now you can kind of see how the background turned out to be a little bit on the subtle side. It was very bright when I first started doing it, but you see here, once it dries and I worked with it, I was able to lighten it up. And I feel like it's still a mixed media layout. It's just a little bit on the softer side. And I really love how that turned out. And I love this color scheme. It's really fun to work with different colors together and just see how they all, you know, kind of coordinate once you start adding things in together. But you can see there's a lot of texture going on, a lot of layering, a lot of details. But I really love how this turned out. I think it was fun to mix and match the collections and to document these cute pictures. So I hope this inspires you in some way today. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in my next video. I hope you have a great week.